Journaling. Let's talk about it. Journaling is one of those personal development habits, one of those like good habits that I feel like we hear about all the time. And it's something that I've always kind of known I probably should do, but never have really prioritized or been drawn to. I've journaled occasionally, but never with any sort of consistency and never enough to feel like I was actually getting any benefits or like results from doing it. It was always like I would maybe, use it for scripting for like manifestation, or I would write a gratitude list every once in a while, but I never really had that sort of natural motivation to journal, and it was almost never like stream of consciousness journaling. I haven't really done that since I was like in middle or high school. So I thought it would be really fascinating to do a month-long, like 30-day experiment with journaling, because I want to see like if I actually experience any benefits and if I feel like it improves my life in any way. Is it going to better my mental health? Is it going to help me to clear my mind? Is it going to help me manifest things or just like make me a more positive person? Like, I don't know, but I'm excited to find out and I'm going to bring you with me. So this is actually not my first time attempting this challenge. I tried doing it once a few months back and almost immediately failed, fizzled out, didn't stick to it. And there's some things that I've changed this time around that I think is making it a lot more successful. I'm a few days into this at this point and I have been doing it consistently. So here's some of the things that I changed in my approach this go around to give me a better chance of success. One, I got a designated notebook, diary, journal thing for this. This is a almost completely new like journal. It's completely been dedicated to 30 days of journaling, as you can see here. So this diary, journal, whatever, is going to be fully dedicated to this process. And strangely enough, I think that has made it stick and be more appealing to me because it feels more legitimate. In the past, when I was just writing entries in random notebooks that were being used for other purposes, it didn't feel as like official or important or just like romanticized, I guess. And it really does with having this like nice journal specifically for this challenge. So second big thing I changed was not setting any strict rules or expectations or themes for what I'm going to journal about day to day. The first time that I tried this challenge, I had this idea that I would do a week of gratitude journaling and then a week of scripting and etc. because I thought it would be a good way to try out different journaling techniques, see what I liked. But what I've been doing this time around that I've really been loving is allowing myself just to journal intuitively. I'm going to be checking in periodically throughout the next month to talk about how the experiment is going, things that I've realized, maybe breakthroughs I've had, and how I feel this is affecting me. Oh my god, not me still having the sticker on this. That needs to go immediately. I'll check in with you guys once I'm a little further into this little experiment. It's gonna be fun. Interesting choice I'm making with the angle, but I love a good high angle sometimes. There's something about it. All right, let's talk about what's been up with this. I have lots of reflections. I've been writing everything down in my notes app, and we're gonna talk about it. Okay, so I talked about in the last clip how one of the things that I was doing this go around to basically just increase my chances of success was allowing myself to journal in whatever way felt good on a specific day. I went into the challenge with no expectations, no like standards for what I had to do. The only requirement was like I pick up the journal and I write something, anything. And that has been a golden formula so far. And surprisingly, I've noticed that I've been very naturally gravitating towards like exclusively stream of consciousness journaling, which is very interesting because that was always the type of journaling that seemed the least appealing and honestly the least helpful to me from an outside perspective. I just never really understood the allure of stream of consciousness journaling. I was just like, what's the point of just writing whatever comes to mind? I didn't get it, to be honest, even though people raved about it. And I always thought I would be more of like a gratitude list or an affirmations girl, but I've actually found stream of consciousness journaling to be way less of a barrier to entry, less intimidating, more accessible, because no matter how I'm feeling on a specific day, I can show up to the page and bring whatever energy and whatever thoughts I'm having with no judgment towards myself, no expectations, and I can really just meet myself where I'm at. And that's been so nice and so unexpected. Also, because I put no strict expectations on like how long the entries have to be or what topics I have to talk about, on days where I'm just like exhausted or not feeling very reflective, I can do a super short entry and it's not a big deal. It's not a problem. I can just like write a couple lines and be done with it, versus on days where I have a lot of thoughts and feelings, or maybe I'm working through a new realization, I can write pages and pages. One of the things that I was kind of uncertain about going into this, or intimidated by, I guess, was just like, how do I start an entry? What if I have nothing to say or no thoughts that day? Like, how am I going to get to the point where I'm reflecting? Because it felt very unrealistic for me to like sit down, grab a pen, and immediately be like, writing down giant philosophies about life. Like, that just felt completely not likely. So what I've actually found has worked for me really well is, especially on days where I don't immediately have something I want to write about, starting off the entry with just some facts of the day. So for example, day one, starting off, I wrote, today was a work day. That was the first sentence. And then I started talking a little bit more about how I was feeling that day, maybe some thoughts and reflections. And then I ended up writing pages and pages and just kind of got on a roll. And once it started coming out of me, it just really flowed. And I was really pleasantly surprised by that. By contrast, on days where I'm like not getting in that flow, I'm not really feeling reflective, or I'm tired, or I'm just not feeling it, I can write a really short 1-page entry like this, where I just say things like, hi, I just woke up, so I don't have many thoughts yet, LOL. Very simple, not trying to fake anything or force anything, just, right out of the gate being real and letting myself keep it short and sweet when I need to. I've also noticed that I'm preferring writing my entries in the evening instead of the morning. I think this is just because by the evening I've lived a whole day, so I have more in my head and it's really nice to just kind of do that like dump right before bed so that I can go to sleep with a little bit more of a clear head, versus in the morning, like I mentioned when I read you the beginning of one of my entries, it just kind of feels like my head's empty sometimes and I feel like I've not much to say. There's not much to process when I first wake up. I'll check back in with you guys shortly with more reflections, but so far so good. I'm definitely loving it more than I expected to. So love that for me. Also, I do have a little confession to make. I did miss one day. I completely forgot about this challenge one day. But besides that, I've been very consistent. So we're all gonna give me some grace on that and just keep rolling with this, okay? I don't think it's really gonna make a long-term difference in the results of this video. Okay. Hello, it's check-in time once again. It's time for check-in number 2. Got a little detox tonic that I'm going to be sipping on during this one. I want to focus in this check-in on basically some of the benefits that I've been noticing so far from doing this journaling challenge. Journaling has been really validating and clarifying certain realizations, thoughts, feelings. It's really forced me to look at these things head on and confront them, as opposed to just avoiding them, pushing them to the side, refusing to accept them. This has really shown me that there are things that I don't want to admit to myself, or that I choose not to acknowledge, because I'm always trying to be this optimistic, positive person. I always want to have a good day. I'm very averse to admitting that I'm having a bad day or I'm in a bad mental place. And it's not usually till after that I can reflect and be like, okay, that was a rough time. And part of that is just who I am. I'm an optimist at heart, but I think part of it is not so great because I'm not really facing or accepting those feelings, and that's obviously not a great thing. So in my attempt to, put out good energy and be this positive ray of sunshine and, put out good vibes into the universe so I can like manifest things, all of these things are great and well and all of that, but it doesn't really leave room for me to kind of accept and maybe confront some of my heavier feelings. So what I really love is that journaling has brought out a level of honesty in me that I don't normally have, and shown me things that I didn't even realize I was feeling or experiencing that just come out naturally when I'm writing. And it's honestly been really therapeutic, and it's helped to lessen the weight of these subconscious thoughts, feelings, emotions that I didn't even realize I was having, because once I expel them onto the page, it just feels like a weight has been lifted off my shoulders. And I wasn't really expecting to experience that. Being able to journal and get them down on paper has allowed me to release them and move past them in a more genuine way, instead of just glossing over them or refusing to acknowledge them. And that's been really cool to see. Also, I feel like journaling is just such a safe space, because in a sense, it's like talking to a friend because you're, putting your thoughts and feelings into words, but that never has to go anywhere. So I can be honest about things that I wouldn't even say to, the people in my life, and that I'm not really even acknowledging within myself. And it's just a space where I can be completely transparent and not need to sugarcoat anything, not need to conceal anything that I don't want to be public knowledge. Hopefully, no one will ever read these pages, so I can really just like dump and be fully honest and transparent. Another thing that I really love is because I'm coming to these realizations while I'm journaling, I'm starting off entries usually with how my day went, what happened today, or what I'm doing right now. And then I'm diving more into my mental state and oftentimes realizing things maybe that I want to improve about my life, or things that are affecting me more than I realized, or just patterns in, okay, generally when this happens in a day, I end up feeling negative by the end of the day. Or if I implement these things throughout my day, I have a positive day. Through these realizations, I can make like tangible, actionable steps to optimize my life for more good days through taking the knowledge that I've learned about what makes a good day, what makes a bad day, and as much as I can trying to influence my mental state. Obviously, there's still going to be bad days. Sometimes there's circumstances outside of your control, but also a lot of how you feel in a day can be based on how you went about your day. Were you on your phone? Were you distracted? Were you doing things that mattered to you? Were you pouring into your relationships or your passions? And those are all things that are obviously in your control. So I definitely feel like it's solidified the direction I want to move with my life. It's shown me things that need to be priorities, and just allowed me to be much more reflective and get all of the benefits that come from being more reflective, Another huge benefit that I've noticed is that it has just made me feel a lot more clear and focused. And I think this is because once I dispel all of these thoughts, they don't need to be swirling around in my head anymore. So I can, be a lot more focused on what I'm actually doing instead of being consumed by the little bits and pieces of thoughts that were in my head. They all go down onto the page, and then I can like release them and move on, which has been really nice, as well as it has made me more focused because, like I mentioned before, the realizations that I'm coming to can help to determine the direction I need to move in, can show me things I need to work on, and just make me feel like I'm moving forward in life with more direction and more knowledge of what will improve my life instead of just kind of guessing and throwing things at the wall. So that has been really nice, and I've just felt like more in touch with myself, I guess, and more like I have a stronger bond with myself, like I respect my thoughts and feelings enough to actually acknowledge them and try to improve things for myself. And that has been a huge thing too, is like I never take the time to actually check in with me and really go inward and be like, okay, how are you doing? What are you feeling? Like, what's really weighing you down right now? What's lifting you up? Like, what are your energy givers and your energy drainers right now? And that has been super empowering and just made me feel more important to myself because I'm taking the time to ask those questions. The kinds of questions that you would hope like a close friend or a partner would ask you. Asking yourself those things and taking the time to do those check-ins on a more personal level. Okay, those are the main things that I want to touch on in this check-in. Next time you see me, it'll probably be for my final thoughts. And I also want to go into my actual journal and pick out little realizations or quotes from certain entries that I particularly like or that I thought were insightful. And we'll also answer the big question of, is journaling worth the hype? It's final check-in time. First things first, is journaling as a positive habit worth the hype? Do I understand why it is a crux of the self-help world? Yes, fully. I get it now. I take back my skepticism and cynicism from the beginning of the video, okay? I get it. It was a very therapeutic habit for me. I felt like I was being a very healthy, high-value person by doing this, and I'm really glad that I did do this challenge. The thing that I'm most disappointed by with doing this challenge is that it never started to feel like an automatic habit. I know it might take more than 30 days for something to really become an established habit. I'm not sure what the actual stat on that is, but I was kind of expecting after a week or two for me to not have to kind of force myself or remind myself to do it. I kind of expected to be naturally motivated to do it after, like a week or so in the routine, and that just never happened. Not only was I not naturally doing it, it wasn't a habit, but also it was still very much something I had to force myself to do. Even though afterwards I felt great, the actual action of getting myself to sit down with the journal felt like it took a ton of willpower, and it just wasn't something that I wanted to do most days. And that was really disappointing disappointing to me because I was hoping once I saw how good it felt, it would be easier to motivate myself, but it still felt very much like, oh, I have to journal today. Okay, let me put it on my to-do list. When something is a self-care habit and something that I'm doing to take better care of myself, I want it to be something that's fun and that I'm naturally motivated to do. So that kind of had me feeling like, okay, I loved journaling, but at the same time, I didn't like having to force myself to journal daily. And I think going forward, as much as I would love to just naturally get the instinct to journal, and hopefully that does happen from time to time, I don't want to force myself into making it a daily habit if that isn't something that I'm naturally feeling motivated to do right now. So I wanted to take a look at some of my entries and maybe just reflect on certain entries that were more impactful or certain realizations or quotes that I want to share. Let's see if there's anything good in here. Some of this is really personal, so obviously I'm not going to dive into that, but I like this realization that I came to towards the end of, I think this was my first entry. I'm doing my best. I could obsess indefinitely over the question, how is my time best spent? Truth is, sometimes we have to spend time on unideal things. There's chores and taxes, etc. It's okay for not every second to be optimized for maximum fulfillment. You also don't need to have all the answers right now. You are making time for the things you've identified as priorities. That's more than a lot of people can say. Be proud of yourself. Love it. Love it, love it. Okay, this entry is a prime example of how I went from literally just stating facts about my day to then coming to some sort of realization that could change my course going forward. So let's dive into how that happened, because that, I think, was the secret sauce of this journaling exercise. And that's why I recommend, if you are trying to start journaling and you're feeling kind of intimidated and overwhelmed, literally start with listing the facts of your days and see what that naturally evolves into. What reflections come out of that just like list. So for example, this day I wrote, ugh. Today felt kind of crappy. Even though it started off great, I'm feeling all foggy. I went to the gym this morning, which was great, got Dunkin', sang a little, but not working on any passion project plus no social plans equals dissatisfied bro. I think I'm realizing for a day to be satisfying, it must include a meaningful or exciting creative project or a meaningful social interaction. So I love that. That really helped me realize that I want to use kind of the dull tasks that aren't meaningful to me as breaks from more important creative tasks or like meaningful interactions instead of them consuming an entire day. So I really came to a realization about what makes a day fulfilling and enjoyable for me. And that's pretty powerful stuff. And it just came from, okay, I didn't have a good day today. Why didn't it feel like a good day? What's the formula that could help me have a good day in the future? I love this one. I'm glad that I'm a positive person, that I'm optimistic and kind and generally try to make the most of things. This is something that is core to who I am and I don't want to change. What I really realized in that entry was the core of who I am, my core beliefs, my values, my life perspective is something that I'm proud of and that I don't want to change. It was really a day where I was like using the journal entry to come back to myself, to affirm to myself that I'm valid and just kind of build my confidence back up after a hard day. Another like little realization of things that improve my life or things that make me more likely to have a good day. 2 things that really benefit my mental state and align with the person I want to be: taking care of my parents and taking care of my space. It's really true. And even though I know that, I constantly have to remind myself that those things are worth my time. Oh, okay. This actually reminds me of another thing that I wanted to mention in this final check-in. I've really been enjoying this journaling practice. I like how it forces me to spend present, quiet time with myself. I heard this in a YouTube video and it really stuck with me, that there's a difference between alone time and high quality alone time. Alone time can be you scrolling on your phone. It can be you being very like distracted, just consuming other content, etc. But quality alone time is like doing an activity with yourself, being fully in the moment and giving yourself the luxury of your own attention. And journaling is definitely one of those high quality alone time things. In general, we're such distracted people. Like we are so consumed by like our phones and other people and our thoughts. Journaling was such a welcome break from that and such a moment to like sit in quiet and really just think and not have any distractions. And that was really cool. Okay, this was an entry the night before I did my photo shoot, which I did a whole vlog on. It's from a couple weeks back. But I wrote, I'm just going to show up, do my best, and try to have fun with it. At the end of the day, everything in my life is something I'm choosing to do. I can always recalibrate to maximize my values, whether that's comfort, fulfillment, etc. I'm doing my best, and that is more than enough. And that is something that I find to be a very comforting thought, is that you can always recalibrate. You can always switch up what percent of your time you're spending on what things. There's always that possibility of shifting your life and your lifestyle to better align with what you value. And I really like that perspective, that how you spend your time is a reflection of what you truly value and what you're choosing to prioritize. Aw, this one's so sweet. Okay, this was on a really good day. So when I wrote this, I had just bought Catherine Manning's Blow It Up Blueprint, which was like a little workbook that I bought for like YouTube, basically helping you to like grow your YouTube channel through like some exercises and a little workbook basically. And I wrote, I just bought Catherine Manning's Blow It Up Blueprint. I'm just in a phase where I feel inspired and ready to invest in myself and anything that can help me level up and have my outside reality reflect the pure badassery that I feel within. Winky face. I love that. There's so many like sweet entries in here where I was clearly just feeling very good. And I don't know how much the journaling challenge had to do with how great I was feeling throughout this month, but another great one. One of the things I've been struggling the most in the past few weeks is health anxiety. I wrote, I experienced some health anxiety today. I've been trying to reaffirm to myself that I'm freaking fine. This has been a great reminder that there's a very direct pipeline from avoidance to anxiety, and that action cures anxiety like no other. I deserve to take charge of my life and do the actions that will dissipate my anxiety and take care of myself and my life, even if it's uncomfortable in the moment. That was a freaking game-changing entry. Single page, but what a fucking powerful message, and it's so freaking true. Nothing helps anxiety more than action. Nothing is gonna help you stop worrying about something than taking the first step towards it. I do think going back through these entries could be extremely valuable because I forgot that I had some of these realizations, but having them on paper keeps them from just being a fleeting thought that I'm never able to implement because I have the records, you know? These are the types of things that would pop into my head, could potentially be transformative, but because I'm not writing them down or doing anything with them or immediately putting them into action, they just float right out of my brain and get forgotten until I realize that thing. So having them written down is like a game changer. Okay, and that is officially it for the entries and for this challenge. Let me know how you feel about journaling. Is it something that you do? Is it something you wish you did more? Are you thinking of trying it out after watching this video? And if you're new to my channel, hi, I'm Brielle. I'm 24. I live in Los Angeles, California. I post lots of videos around productivity, personal development, lifestyle in my 20s. So if any of that interests you, definitely be sure to subscribe. I have an entire playlist with videos focused around personal development, self-improvement. So if that topic interests you, definitely check that out. And I'll see you guys next week with another one. Bye guys.